She said, "Stop acting like we're married. You don't get a say in where I go or who I'm with." Everyone laughed. I just smiled and stayed quiet. But when she came back from her weekend away, her key didn't work, and the neighbor told her exactly why. She laughed in my face in my own kitchen, and told me I had no right to know where she was going. That one moment changed everything, and she had absolutely no idea what was coming. My name is Tom Wilson. I'm a graphic designer who works from home, keeps a quiet life, and considers a new brand of frozen pizza an exciting Friday night. I'm easygoing. Maybe too easygoing. Because for 6 months, I let my girlfriend Jessica treat my house like her personal hotel, and I smiled through all of it. Jessica is the kind of woman who treats life like a performance. Her audience? Her 3 best friends. I privately called them the Harpies. Tiffany, Brittany, and the third one, let's just call her Chardonnay. Together, they formed a cackling Greek chorus of entitlement that had slowly, steadily taken over my life. The house had my name on the mortgage. My name on the bills. And somehow, a little plaque by the door that said the Wilsons, which Jessica had bought without asking me and which, looking back, was wildly optimistic. The breaking point came on a Friday evening. I was stirring pasta sauce when Jessica walked into the kitchen, already dressed to go out, phone pressed to her ear. "Oh my God, yes, I am so in," she said into it. "A weekend away is exactly what I need." She hung up and beamed at me. "Good news. The girls and I are going to the lake for the weekend. Leaving tomorrow." First I was hearing of it. I kept stirring. Sounds fun. Which lake? A simple question. A completely reasonable question. The kind of question any person in any relationship might ask. Jessica looked at me like I'd just recited ancient Greek. She let out a short, sharp laugh and turned to Tiffany, who had just waltzed through my front door uninvited. "Can you believe him?" Jessica said, rolling her eyes. "He wants to know where I'm going." Tiffany looked me up and down like I was furniture she was considering throwing out. Then Jessica turned back to me, put her hands on her hips, and delivered the line that would seal her fate. "Stop acting like we're married. You don't get a say in where I go or who I'm with." The Harpies erupted. All 3 of them, in my kitchen, laughing at me. A symphony of derision. I just stood there holding a wooden spoon, pasta sauce dripping on the floor. And then something strange happened. I didn't get angry. I didn't argue. A deep, eerie calm washed over me, like the moment before a storm settles in and the air goes completely still. The part of my brain that had been working overtime to hold this relationship together quietly packed a tiny bag, put on a tiny hat, and walked out the door. I looked at her smug, smiling face. And I smiled right back. A big, warm, completely hollow smile. "You know what?" I said, my voice full of cheerful agreement. "You are 100% correct. My mistake." They laughed again, thinking I had folded. Jessica gave me a condescending little pat on the cheek, and then they swept out of the house like a flock of well-perfumed birds. The kitchen fell silent. Just me and the bubbling pasta sauce. "Okay," I said to myself. "Not married. No say. Got it." The weekend was about to get very interesting, just not for her. The moment Jessica's car disappeared down the street Friday afternoon, I moved with a purpose I hadn't felt in months. But my first stop wasn't the hardware store. It was next door. Mrs. Gable is 80 years old, tends a prize-winning rose garden, and runs the most sophisticated neighborhood surveillance network I have ever encountered. Nothing, and I mean nothing, happens on our street without her knowing. I brought her a slice of lemon cake and sat with her on her porch. I told her everything. I told her exactly what Jessica had said, word for word. By the time I finished, Mrs. Gable was patting my hand with righteous fury in her eyes. "That shameless little hussy," she declared. "Don't you worry, Tom. What's my line?" With my accomplice secured, I went home and launched what I called Operation Bachelor Pad Resurrection. For 6 months, my home had been drowning in beige pillows, pointless little decorative bowls that held absolutely nothing, and art that looked like a printer had given up halfway through. It was like living inside a sad dentist's waiting room. No more. I didn't just pack Jessica's things. I curated them. Box after box, labeled with permanent marker. Everyday clothes. Fancy clothes for fancy outings I wasn't invited to. Magic sparkly dresses that shed glitter on everything I own. Her 37 pairs of identical-looking high heels went into a box marked a podiatrist's nightmare. Her mountain of skincare and makeup products got 2 boxes, face paint, and various goops. By Saturday morning, every trace of her physical existence had been packed. I hired movers off an app, and everything went into a 10x5 storage unit. I paid for 1 month. A generous, entirely non-marital gesture, I thought. Then came the shopping. Out went the beige rug, in came an AstroTurf rug that looked exactly like a football field. Her sterile white couch got sold online and replaced with a massive black leather recliner sofa boasting approximately 16 cup holders. Her sad minimalist coffee table was swapped for a vintage pinball machine I found on Craigslist. It didn't work. But it lit up, and honestly, that was enough. The bedroom got a grizzly bear catching a salmon poster where her macrame wall hanging used to be. It felt right. It felt deeply, spiritually right. And then came my final move. My most inspired one. I drove to the local animal shelter. Just to look. An hour later, I came home with a 120-pound Saint Bernard named Gus. Gus was not a small dog. He was a furry, drooling, lovable wrecking ball. He immediately claimed the new leather sofa, fell into it like he owned the place, and started snoring like a lumberjack. The house was transformed. It was no longer a showroom. It was a fortress. I spent the rest of the weekend playing fetch with Gus, drinking beer straight from the bottle in my own living room, and changing all the passwords. The new Wi-Fi network was named Get Your Own Wi-Fi. The password was not married lol. By the way, if you're still here and loving where this is going, hit that subscribe button. Because I promise you, the stories only get better from here. Sunday night, around 9 p.m., my video doorbell pinged. There she was. Jessica, tan from her weekend at the lake, strolling up to my front door without a care in the world, humming to herself. She tried her key. It slid in. It didn't turn. The new deadbolt I'd installed that morning held firm. She jiggled it. Tried again. Jiggled harder. Let out an annoyed sigh and started banging on the door. From the couch, Gus lifted his giant head, let out one deep rumbling woof, and went back to sleep. She started calling my phone. I watched it buzz on top of the pinball machine, took a slow sip of my beer, and hit decline. She called again. Declined. 5 times. The banging got louder. Tom, open the door. What is wrong with you? My key isn't working. Then, right on cue, a porch light flickered on next door. Mrs. Gable, in her housecoat, holding a watering can. Showtime. Oh, Jessica dear, is that you? She called out, her voice a perfect blend of surprise and neighborly concern. Mrs. Gable, thank God, Jessica said, rushing over. I can't get in. Is Tom home? I can see the lights on. Oh, Tom's home, Mrs. Gable said, nodding slowly. He's had the most wonderful weekend. A real transformation. Transformation? What are you talking about? Well, Mrs. Gable leaned in conspiratorially. He told me the good news. He said you two aren't married. He said he doesn't get a say in anything you do. She paused for theatrical effect. So he decided to celebrate his newfound freedom. Redecorated the whole house. Very rugged. It's a man's home now, he said. Jessica stared. Her mouth hung open. And the best part, Mrs. Gable continued, barely containing her delight, he got a dog. A great big beautiful boy named Gus. He said he wanted a companion who was loyal and didn't talk back. Isn't that sweet? The look on Jessica's face in that moment was a masterpiece. Pure, unfiltered disbelief. She slowly turned and pressed her face against my living room window. I watched her from the couch. I watched her eyes travel across the football field rug, the glowing pinball machine, and Gus, enormous, majestic, and completely unbothered, sprawled across the leather sofa in the exact spot she used to sit. She let out a sound somewhere between a scream and a sob. Her phone lit up with text messages. A novel's worth of them, all caps. I waited until she was mid-meltdown. Then I responded. One message. You said to stop acting like we're married. You said I don't get a say. I agree. This is my house, and you don't get a say in how I live in it. Your things are at 123, Storage Way, Unit 42. Code is 1234. You have 1 month. Have a great life. Then I blocked her number. The doorbell camera captured everything. She read the text. She looked at her phone. She looked at the window. She looked back at her phone. Then she let out a scream of pure, unadulterated rage and hurled her phone onto my lawn. She ranted on my porch for 10 full minutes before Tiffany came to collect her. And just like that, she was gone. The next day, the social media campaign began. Vague posts. Sad music. Something about knowing your worth and cutting out toxic energy. It was all so painfully generic it was almost boring. They were trying to paint me as a villain, but they were using a paint-by-numbers kit. I let them run with it for 2 days. Then I posted a photo album on my private page, visible only to our mutual friends. The first photo, my living room from a month ago. Beige couch. Pointless bowls. The dead-eyed aura of a dentist's waiting room. Caption, before. The second photo, my living room now. The glorious leather sofa, the football field rug, the glowing pinball machine, and Gus, looking like absolute royalty. Caption, after. The final photo, a selfie. Me and Gus on the couch, both of us grinning. Caption, decided to redecorate based on my new relationship status. It was brought to my attention that I'm not married and don't get a say in things, so I'm embracing my freedom. Hashtag bachelorpad, hashtag dog is my copilot, hashtag no say no stay. The post detonated like a nuclear bomb. The sheer pettiness of it, combined with the undeniable cuteness of Gus, was an unstoppable combination. The people who had offered sympathy to Jessica started seeing the full picture. The narrative shifted completely. It was no longer psycho boyfriend kicks out girlfriend. It was girlfriend tells boyfriend their relationship is a joke, and is shocked when he believes her. Jessica's friends went quiet. It's hard to maintain a victim narrative when the supposed villain is posting adorable dog photos. The aftermath 4. Jessica wasn't kind. She crashed with Tiffany, but that lasted less than a week. Apparently Tiffany got tired of someone who complains but doesn't contribute to rent. Funny how that works. She eventually moved back in with her parents, 3 hours away. She did try to come after me legally. I received a letter from a lawyer demanding access to the house and financial compensation for being made homeless. My lawyer responded with a copy of my mortgage statement, a copy of the lease with only my name on it, and a polite inquiry about whether Jessica intended to repay 6 months of rent, utilities, and groceries consumed as a non-married person with, apparently, no obligations. We never heard from her lawyer again. But the moment that made the whole thing feel truly complete came about a month later. I was at the dog park with Gus. He was trying to fit 3 tennis balls in his mouth simultaneously, when someone approached me hesitantly. It was Chardonnay, the third harpy. She looked genuinely awkward. Hey Tom. Look, I just wanted to say I'm sorry about that night. We were out of line. I shrugged. Jessica said what she said. I just took her at her word. She nodded slowly, watching Gus make a complete fool of himself with the tennis balls. She called me last week, Chardonnay said, complaining that her parents are making her get a job. Said it was all your fault for ruining her life. She paused. Looked at me. Then at Gus. Then back at me. Honestly? It looks like you're doing just fine. She was right. The pinball machine still doesn't work. But it lights up, and it makes people smile when they see it. Gus is the best roommate I have ever had, loyal, funny, and he has never once complained about my cooking. My house feels like mine again. Really mine. Here's what I learned from all of this. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is simply listen to what someone tells you about themselves, and believe them. Jessica told me exactly who she was and exactly what our relationship meant to her. I just decided to agree with her. She said I didn't get a say. So I let go of mine entirely. And in doing so, I got my whole life back. So I want to hear from you. What would you have done in my place? Would you have confronted her right there in the kitchen, or played it cool like I did? Drop it in the comments. I genuinely want to know where you stand on this one.